We're here in London, well, in the UK. We're doing a tour of the Knitting Pilgrim, and we are also bringing the Patchwork Pride project to the Canadian High Commission in London, in Trafalgar Square, and the Patchwork Pride flag is going to fly from Canada House in Trafalgar Square during Pride Month here in the UK. The politics and the worldview of the right seems to have really taken hold in a lot of places in the world, and it's a politics of exclusion and a politics of the negativity.
A number of years ago, I knit a tree sweater. Basically, it was a rainbow tree wrap. We put around the tree that was in our front yard there, and it's because our eldest child, Finn, is non-binary, and we wanted to express our support for them.
These things are called yarn bombs. So it became a traveling yarn bomb. It traveled quite a ways around not only Toronto, but the GTA and Ontario. And so every couple of weeks, some new person would ask for it, and we would get in the car and we would drive there.
A few years later, it occurred to me that I could do the same thing at our church in Morningside High Park. I actually crocheted another yarn bomb, and we put that up on this tree. A few months later, unfortunately, it was torn down, and somebody found it, ripped down and on the sidewalk. They tried to put it back up, but it didn't really work. I was a bit disappointed by that, but still had it. And so I spent the next few months repairing it. And then the next year, it didn't even last 24 hours. It was taken down and stolen. So, gone. We were about to leave the country in a couple of weeks, and I couldn't really respond to it. I couldn't make another one because it took too long. And so I kind of felt like whoever took it down felt like they'd, won the point, and I was just kind of enraged.
Kirk really wanted to rapidly buy more yarn and make another yarn bomb. And I said to him, I think you should wait and think about how you want to respond and come up with something different, because it is too accessible and vandals can very easily destroy it. Think a moment, ponder.
Claire recommended was that I don't try to do it all myself. Why don't you reach out to the community and invite people to participate? I said, oh, that's a good idea. I could ask people to just make these little squares. And then my idea was to make them in rainbow color and sort of put them together in kind of a quilt and then put that up on the side of the church. Well, why don't you make it a flag then? And I went, oh, that's a good idea. I designed a flag that was all just a bunch of squares. Put the word out on social media.
The idea we have is a Patchwork Pride pennant. And what we're doing is we're knitting all sorts of 6-inch squares, and we're going to sew them together into a pennant. If you'd like to contribute, we would love to have you.
Anybody I knew said, we're making this project, and we just need a 6-inch square, which is going to be easy to make because the pattern was from corner to corner. You could use any size of needles, any kind of yarn you wanted. It didn't matter as long as a 6-inch square, and it was easy to do that.
When Kurt first did his design, he was sure that he wouldn't get a lot of submissions. So he said, I got to get knitting. I've now planned this thing and I've announced it, and so we can't go backwards.
And then we started getting submissions from all over the place.
This one is from Anne in Fredericton. This is from Kim Jones in New Brunswick. Oh, look at this. And it's from my Aunt Sheila in Ottawa. This is from Eleanor from Quebec. Farthest field so far. It comes from Novato, California.
People were sending us boxes of them. Suddenly, we had so many squares, and I had to keep on redesigning the flag to make it bigger and bigger and bigger to accommodate these squares. We had more than 1,000, I think 1,200 squares that were submitted.
Now that the thing was so huge, it was going to be a monstrous activity to sew it together. Now we put out a call to have a piecing party. We booked the church hall and put out the word. Again, Kirk put out the word on social media, and so all these people showed up. This piecing party happened on a one-day thing where we pieced together the flag. We weren't able to finish it that day, so people took home piles of squares. A small group of people kept showing up at the church to keep sewing these things together. My cousin Mary came with her sewing machine.
One of the things that Phyllis supplied, she had made kites in her background, in her past with ripstop nylon.
I'm Phyllis Goodfellow. I live in West End of Toronto. I was quite aware of the yarn bombing at Morningside High Park Church. The year before I met Kirk, I was aware that it had been damaged, and I was devastated to see that.
Do you know how many squares you knit?
I don't. I know I kept going to Michael's and getting yarn. And then a friend, she had a stash of acrylic yarn from when her sister had passed away.
I could probably go back to my notes and something and total up like how much I got from each person each time, but close to 100 maybe. Oh, yeah, even more than 100. Yeah, it was a lot of
definitely.
A lot of them.
This came at a point of my life that I wasn't able to do complicated patterns. I had recently been widowed. I needed something simple to do. Knitting squares that looked like dishcloths was just right for me at that point of my life. Having watched the performance of Stitched Glass, learning a little bit about Kirk, I knew he was a real person, a real caring person. This was action. This was social justice. This was something important. I do know that the churches over the last little while have been far more inclusive than they were when I was active in two different churches. Two different churches that I left because of issues around gender. I think back to my growing up years, 50s, 60s, even 70s and 80s when I was working. We were silent. We didn't really support. I think back to some of the children I taught that possibly needed more from me. And I didn't do it. We didn't talk about these things.
Abingdon Street.
I think the first time we met
was at Knit City.
Knit City.
And I had already delivered some squares at that point. It was just a delight to meet him and also realize how much he appreciated what everybody was doing. My little contribution didn't seem like much, but the appreciation was huge.
You also made another contribution right then and there, because I was telling you, I was a bit surprised at how many squares we were getting, and this thing was getting bigger and bigger. If we just put it up the way it was going to stretch, and that was no good, so we had to sew it to something. I had no idea what that was going to be. And you, from one of your previous craft projects, you suggested what?
Ripstop nylon. I had made several kites with my son at various workshops. Kites fly.
Yeah.
The flag's going to fly.
Yeah, and so that's what we did. On Phyllis's recommendation, we sourced, I don't know how many meters of ripstop nylon. I should remember that. That was what was sewn together and put on the back of the flag, and how it stayed there, yeah.
We're here at Canada House, and we are here at the Pride-wide Symposium, Idahobbit, and that is International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersexphobia, and Transphobia. And we're going to be talking about the Pride flag. It's really the first big installation that's been requested. Certainly the installation at Morningside High Park was great and exciting, and that was very much self-generated and so helped out by the community. But this was actually requested by Canada House, and so as far as my growth as an artist, it's a huge thing. It's also, in listening to what's going on here, it's also an opportunity to really do something, to be an ally for the LGBTQ community, and it's something that is sorely needed in today's climate. The people at the top of my mind, Phyllis and Karen Goodfellow, who not only lent their talent and time to the actual making of the Patchwork Pride project, but also they contributed financially to help us get it here. because there was there was some logistics in getting it into finding a bag big enough to handle it and getting it onto a plane and paying for the oversized baggage and getting here and then getting it to Canada House and then even getting it back. So all that stuff, they stepped up and they gave us some funding for that. So that was a huge help.
I'm Karen Goodfellow, or Run, and I'm from the West End High Park area of Toronto. I love textiles. I am not a knitter at all. Mostly I participated as a cheerleader, encouraging my mom to get to Knit City to meet you in person instead of just making all her drop-offs at the church. Helping put the pieces together at the Sunday gathering the week before it went up. It was exactly what needed to happen in the time. There are people who will stand up, who will amplify their voice, especially in a time as we're seeing people being erased. We're seeing human rights stripped. This is a time where people are going more isolated. People are responding with overwhelm, with disassociation. You showed people a way in, a way to stand with the queer community. And so many people feel like, well, it's not my place to say anything. I hear people often say, well, I don't know anyone trans.
Right.
I don't have any family member who's gay or queer or lesbian, but not everyone knows if they have family or loved ones or people they care about because they might not feel safe telling them.
And this is the flag that's come through customs.
Yes.
It's going to be
on the front of Canada House, yes. It's going up on the 2nd of June. It'll be up for Pride Month.
Everyone, please put your hands together for Andrew.
Afterwards, we talked to a gentleman who said that he was really, he just loved the fact that, you know, there I was a straight dad who was trying to support his kid and that whole community that I wasn't necessarily a part of, but wanted to protect. That's my place, that's my spot. I had felt that, what do I know about being gay? I haven't got any life experience about, having been through anything or experienced anything that these people have gone through. I'm part of a community that needs to be supporting. Being a white, straight male, that's the group of people who has so much power in the world right now, or certainly in our Western society. And that's the group that needs to change things. The better example I can be of that for my kids and for their generation and other generations, to show this is what it means to be a functioning member of society. The better example I can be, well, the better. So. Finally seeing it up at Canada House was a huge thrill, relief, a pleasure. It took a long time to get it over there. We had to figure it out at Canada House. We have like 3 hours to get this up. Whereas at Morningside, we had weeks to look at that spire and look at what we're doing and we're gonna do this and go buy some stuff and then buy some other stuff. The people at Canada House, the High Commissioner and the Deputy High Commissioner were really kind and really
Interested
happy and
in it,
interested.
yeah.
And they really appreciated having it there.
This was hanging right on the outside of Canada House for everybody to see from Trafalgar Square, and it was impressive.
We are allies. We want to support that community and make it, part of our community. The closer we can get to complete inclusion, where it just doesn't matter anymore. Like, why? They're not different, actually. They are just the same as we are. The closer we can get to that, the better. And I think this was a step in that direction.
both of us are hugely thankful to Canada House. That invite meant that this community-led project became so much more visible, internationally visible, but also felt like it was really, not to be too corny, but spreading the love. You know, that beautiful piece of community artwork got to be seen not just in Canada, but abroad too.
Kudos to the congregation of Morningside High Park, who really embraced this as an opportunity. It opened their doors to the community. We brought in as many people as we could get. I think the church really stepped up and was a big part of this too. Most people, had some ability to knit. A couple people, my brother Mark included, who learned to knit just for the event. I think a lot of people were really interested in doing something impressive and part of a community, like part of a group. Not only did they know the story of having had this yarn bomb, ripped down and destroyed, they also just wanted to do something for Pride.
It's a really easy, creative act of allyship. So you don't have to be queer. You don't necessarily have to be a good knitter, but it's a way that queer people and not queer people can get together and do this beautiful artistic thing.
I think in today's climate, something's happened politically where the people who tend to put other people down and build themselves up by doing just that, and find it easy to hate and to target people. They're feeling emboldened now. They've got a loud voice. And I think in some ways it's a good thing, because now we know where they are. It's like the rats have come out. Now we know we have a rat problem. And so I think that this project is an answer to that. It's a voice that is responding to that. Everything has been positive, except for the few people in the shadows, like the people who incredibly bravely in the dark of night tore off a tree. Those people are out there, but I think they're the minority, and I think they have an amplification right now. But this is our response to that, and this is our answer back. Back in Canada, they were thrilled that it was coming to London, and they were just so excited about that. I'm proud for them and for all of us, and I'm proud that everybody who comes to Trafalgar Square for the next month is going to see it. So that's a thrill.